Good evening. I suggest that what I will do is first this year, Be'ezras Hashem, we are learning chapter Tesvav, Ois Tesvav 15 of Basi Legani. We are first going to learn the original Ois of Basi Legani 15, Tesvav, the way it was said by, and written by actually, by the Frierdiker Rebbe. And then we will go into the first explanation, Tafshin Chaf-Hei, which is 65, the Rebbe's explanation, the first round of reaching chapter 15. Now, just to bring us into the context, which I will not do too much, since the Rebbe himself is going to do it in his bio. Please mute yourselves unless you want to say something. Therefore, I will not give a lot of akdama. The only thing I'll remind us where we are. We are fighting the war that is nogea to the king himself, Melech Malchei Amlachim, which we are learning this maimar, and it's all happening beruchnius and begashmius in real time. What we are going through now is now mamash reflecting in Basi Legani, reflected in Basi Legani. So we are talking about the war that we are fighting. We means Am Yisrael, that are called Tzivos Havaya, Tzivos Hashem, to win the war that matters so much to the king, to the extent that he is splurging all his oitzos, all his treasures, he's splurging his treasures, and that were never exposed and seen by anyone, that they were accumulated through generations of royal treasury built up and being protected and sealed and concealed and so on. And the king takes it out and sends it to Pkidei HaChayil, to the commanders, to give it to the Anshe HaChayil, the foot soldiers that are fighting the war on the battlefield, which are us. And the Rebbe says, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, what is this otzar? What is this treasure that the king is willing to splurge, and that means to compromise the glory of the kingdom, so to speak, in order to win the war? So the Rebbe brings from the Zohar, it's Or Ein Sof. And the way the Zohar says, Or Ein Sof is למעלה מעלה עד אין קץ, ולמטה מטה עד אין תכלס. Or Ein Sof goes higher and higher and higher infinitely, and Or Ein Sof goes lower and lower and lower and lower infinitely. Until now, we learned about, for the last couple of prakim, about Or Ein Sof למטה מטה עד אין תכלס. Or Ein Sof that can go infinitely down. And we learned how actually Or Ein Sof is present all the way in the lowest of the lowest of the lowest realities, all the way in Olam HaKlipos, in the world of ungodly, so to speak, in impure forces, that there the concealment is so heavy that God is not revealed, but Or Ein Sof is there, bringing them into existence and animating them from moment to moment to moment. So we learned a lot about Or Ein Sof למטה מטה עד אין תכלס. Now the Rebbe will actually be more revealing and say that actually, if you want to know the real otzar, the real treasure, is Or Ein Sof למעלה מעלה עד אין קץ. That Or Ein Sof is not just Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis, but Or Ein Sof is also Lemala Mala Ad En Kates, and this is the real Oitzer. And probably soon I will ask you why. Why do you think it is? But let's begin by learning the Ois of the Frierdiker Rebbe. So I'm learning from Basi Legani, that is from Kehas, that was published by Kehas, and the booklet that came out, and now it's Perek 15 מהמשך Basi Legani תש"י of the Frierdiker Rebbe. והנה, now, כשם שאור אין סוף הוא למטה מטה בהספשטוס וגילוי עד אין שיעור ומספר כלל, just as Or Ein Sof, whether we see it or we don't see it, whether we develop the kelim to perceive it or not, the fact is that Or Ein Sof is lemata mata, behispashtus begilui, in a way that is extended all the way down and revealed. Mitzad itself, it's revealed, ad ein shi'ur u'mispar klal, without any measure, without any measure or any limit. So Or Ein Sof is present and operating everywhere, whether we see it or not. But just as Or Ein Sof is lemata mata ad en tachlis, it is also in Ekmochenu Or Ein Sof lemala mala ad en kates. So too is Or Ein Sof lemala mala ad en kates, goes higher and higher and higher infinitely. Bibchinas Helem Haor. What does it mean, lemala mala? In a manner of Helem Haor. Mala mala means that it goes higher and higher back to its source. In a manner of Helem Haor. It's page 9 in the booklet. Third line. This Or Ein Sof we are talking about is bibchinas Helem, is concealed. שהוא בהלם אחרי הלם, ואילוי אחר אילוי. It is concealment after concealment after concealment, which means withdrawing and withdrawing, concealing itself, going back to its source higher and higher and higher, in two manners. Heder Haor, that the experience of anyone would be relating to all these Or is that, number one, there will be the experience of Heder Haor. It looks like the Or is absent. That's what it means, Helem. And also Heder Gilui. And not only the presence of the light, even the revelation of the light. Uvichlaalus, generally, what does it mean, Or Ein Sof lemala mala ad en kates, going higher, higher, and higher? הוא עניין הצמצום שהיה באור אין סוף ברוך הוא. Is the tzimtzum that occurred in Or Ein Sof, in order for worlds to be able to be emanated and created. There had to be a tzimtzum in Or Ein Sof. שהוא יסעלמוס האור ויסקללוס בעצמוסו יסברך. That means that now, in order for worlds to exist, Hashem had to conceal His light, and the light now has to be included and withdrawn into its source. דהנה לפני הצמצום היה אור אין סוף בגילוי. Before the tzimtzum, what we call the constriction, the first compromise, the first withdrawal of Or Ein Sof, called tzimtzum harishon. In truth, it's not the first tzimtzum, because we know, those who learn Shara Yichud of the Mittler Rebbe, that before the tzimtzum harishon, these Yachid and Echad and Kadmon, which means there are tzimtzumim before that. But including to create the light, to emanate the light. That also requires already a tzimtzum. Because Hashem is not revelation, about revelation. In any case, once there was divine like authentic divine expression and revelation, which means Or Ein Sof, the infinite light of God. Elokus, godliness revealed. And when that was the case, Begilu, in a revealed way, please mute yourselves. וכמו שכתוב בעץ חיים, טרם שנאצלו הנאצלים, before the emanations were emanated, like Atzilus in the higher worlds, היה אור עליון פשוט ממלא כל המציאות. Before worlds came about, in any form or shape, whether emanated or created, there was a divine light which was plain, formless and plain, pashut, pure, formless, filling the entire existence. V'hainu shaya gilui or Ein Sof. That means that there was a revelation of the infinite light of God. Godliness was revealed. Perush, דמה שהיה נרגש בפשיטוס הוא אור אין סוף. That means that what was nirgash bepshitus, what was sensed in an obvious way, what was the sense reality before the tzimtzum? The sense reality before the tzimtzum was Or Ein Sof, infinite godliness. אבל בחינת המציאות והישוס לא היה נרגש כלל. Any sense of existence separate from that, any sense of self, was not experienced at all before the Tzimtzum. Okay? Before the Tzimtzum, there was no sense of self separate from the source. At all. There was no Metzius like that. V'hainu, what does it mean? It means שהיה גילוי אור אין סוף בלי גבול. It means that there was a gilui of the light, the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light of Hashem that is bli gvul, that is endless, infinite. And therefore there was no room for the finite. And now the Rebbe brings what is often brought in Chassidus. Va'inyan b'zeh, to explain, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, and the Rebbe will elaborate a lot on this perek. I'm just going through it fast, quickly relatively, so we can go to the bio of the Rebbe, okay? So I'm going relatively fast, but ha'inyan b'zehu, the Frierdiker Rebbe explains, Dehine ita ba'avodas HaKodesh, for Ibn Gabbai. Avodas HaKodesh, that is a few hundred years ago Kabbalah book that is quoted often in Chassidus, that Ha'ein Sof Baruch Hu, that the infinite, which means Or Ein Sof, כשם שיש לו כוח בבלתי בעל גבול, these are all the Rashi tables there, בבלתי בעל גבול, just as Or Ein Sof, which in Zohar is called Shlemusa Dekula, and in the Kabbalah of the Ari as well, Shlemusa Dekula, which means it's the Shlemus of everything, it's the perfection and the completion and the wholeness of everything. It has everything. It's not lacking anything. That's Or Ein Sof. So Or Ein Sof, that means that Or Ein Sof has two things. That just as it has a power, which is in power of infinity, Bilti Bal Gvul, the power of infinity, no boundaries, no end. Kmo chen, since it's the completion, the perfection of all, it's not missing having the power of finitude. Kmo chen, so too, yesh lo koach begvul. You have to say that Or Ein Sof also, says the Avodas HaKodesh, that Or Ein Sof has also a power in Gvul, a power of finitude. It is an infinite power, but it's an infinite power to be revealed through Gvul, through finitude and boundaries. Because im tomar, שיש לו כוח בבלתי בעל גבול ואין לו כוח בגבול, הרי אתה מחסר שלמוסו. If you say that the Or Ein Sof is only infinite and has no power of finitude, then you are diminishing from its perfection. ואין סוף הוא שלמוסא דכולה. And אין סוף is the shlemus, the perfection of everything, of all. ופירוש דשלמוס האין סוף הוא כולל בלי גבול וגבול. And when we say that Or Ein Sof is perfect, that means that it includes everything. And it includes bli gvul, infinite, and it includes finite. That means the ability to be expressed through finitude. ולפני הצמצום, so but before the tzimtzum, before the constriction of the light, what was the condition before the first tzimtzum? היה גילוי האור אין סוף הבלי גבול. What was revealed and apparent and sensed and in your face was the Or Ein Sof habli gvul. The bli gvul aspect of Or Ein Sof, the infinite aspect of Or Ein Sof was prevalent, was revealed, and therefore the finitude power of Or Ein Sof, the koach hagvul, was overwhelmed, was overshadowed, so to speak, with the infinity of the power of infinity. So before the tzimtzum, היה גילוי האור אין סוף הבלי גבול. And then what happened to the power of גבול? The כוח הגבול שבאין סוף היה בהלם. At that point, the power of finitude in the Ein Sof was hidden. It was concealed, was not revealed, because the power of infinity took over. וזהו אומרו, היה אור עליון פשוט, שהוא אור אין סוף הבלי גבול, ממלא כל מקום המציאות. And this is where he says that היה אור עליון פשוט, that there was a divine light, פשוט, plain. פשוט doesn't mean primitive, it means plain, formless, unlimited. אור אין סוף הבלי גבול, the infinite light, was filling the entire place of existence, שהיה נרגש רק בחינס האין סוף הבלי גבול. That what was sensed was only the power of infinity. וכוח הגבול שבאין סוף, שהוא בחינס המציאות והישוס, לא היה נרגש כלל. And therefore at that point, before the tzimtzum, the power of gvul, of finitude, of boundaries, שבאין סוף, which is in the infinite. So just as we said, that just as the infinite has an infinite power of infinity, so too the infinite has an infinite power of finitude, of finiteness. So now, when the Or Ein Sof, the Bilti Ba'al Gvul, which the infinite was revealed, then Koach HaGvul shebe'ein sof, that means the possibility of Metzius, of a reality, and a reality that feels itself separately from its source, wasn't at all possible. It wasn't experienced at all. לא היה נרגש כלל. And therefore Hashem made a tzimtzum in the light. ועל ידי הצמצום הנה נתעלם האור אין סוף. Through the tzimtzum, the infinite light became concealed, ומה שנרגש בפשיטוס הוא בחינת הישוס והמציאות. Now, after the tzimtzum happens, now that which was obvious and sensed before, which is the power of infinity, now it switched around, and now what became obvious and sensed and nirgash and felt is now the power of gvul, the possibility of yeshus, of feeling of self, separately from the source. And Or Ein Sof הרי אינו נרגש, and the infinity of the elokus of godliness is now not sensed. דאגם דאת השמיים ואת הארץ אני מלא, that even though, says ירמיהו הנביא, את השמיים ואת הארץ אני מלא, I feel the shamayim and the aretz, the heavens and the earth. Who is Ani? Or Ein Sof. Lemata mata aden tachlis. Ani maleh, I'm there. But there is a tzimtzum. Tzimtzum to who? והצמצום הוא רק לגבינו. The tzimtzum is only to us. Our perspective changed. Our sight changed. Nothing changed in godliness. Hashem, when he decided to conceal his light, nothing went away. To us, it went away. To the mekablim, to the recipients, to the recipients of the divine hashpah and or. והצמצום הוא רק לגבינו. This concealment of light, that it looks like the light was taken away and Or Ein Sof was taken away, it's only to us. From our perspective, it looks like that. אבל לגביו יסברך, הרי הצמצום אינו מסתיר כלל. But in reference to Hashem, to him, the tzimtzum doesn't hide anything. הוא מאיר לאחר הצמצום כמו קודם הצמצום. And it shines after the tzimtzum, just as it shines before the tzimtzum. There is no shinui, not in God himself and not even in his light. וכמאמר, as it says, and we say in Shachris, אתה הוא קודם שנברא העולם ואתה הוא לאחר שנברא העולם בהשוואה הגמורה. You are after the world is created, just as you are before the world is created. It is completely, identically the same. ואין הצמצום מסתיר כלל. The tzimtzum doesn't block anything, not to him. Nothing changes. And now the Frierdiker Rebbe is bringing a mashal for it. And the mashal is, למashal בזה הוא, כמו הרב המשפיע שכל לתלמידו. Like the Rav, I feel so bad because now we are learning, and now it's giving a mashal from a Rav, and I'm not even seeing, and I'm really apologizing. And B'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll make sure that it works, not just for 2 minutes. I don't know what happened. In any case, so it helps to concentrate instead of looking at my beauty. We have to remember all the time that the tzimtzum doesn't block any niyot. We know, I don't know if you get, Bechlal, it was mentioned before many times, but Bechlal, there are 4 schools of thought regarding the tzimtzum. As Kabbalah evolved and as Hasidus evolved, and all the way to the Baal Shem Tov, and obviously Hasidus Chabad, the Alter Rebbe follows that. And that is all Hasidus. And that is that at first the thought was, basically there are 2 schools of thought regarding the Tzimtzum, that each one of them is subdivided. The question is, where was the Tzimtzum? Was it in God himself, that God himself concealed his essence himself, or was it only in the light, in Or Ein Sof, that Hashem made a tzimtzum? These are 2 schools of thought. So the first thought was Hashem made a tzimtzum in himself. Then said no, only his light. But also there is another question that comes into, that makes a subdivision here. Is the tzimtzum kipshuto, or the tzimtzum is not kipshuto? That means, is it a literal tzimtzum? Is it a literal tzimtzum, or is it a, not kipshuto, it's kipshuto. I don't know how to say it in English. Give me a good word for it. It's not a literal tzimtzum, it's a conceptual tzimtzum. That means that if, and basically I don't want to go deeply into it right now, it's not shayach, but just it evolved. For first of all, the thought was that it was a literal tzimtzum in God himself. Then they said no, nothing nothing changed in God, and it's not a literal tzimtzum, but tzimtzum shelo kipshuto in God himself. A virtual, like a conceptual tzimtzum. Not kipshuto, not a literal tzimtzum, but in God himself. And that changed also. No, it's not at all in God himself. Not kipshuto, but not shelo kipshuto. Not literal and not virtual. It's not at all in God. It's in his light. So now in his light also, as Kabbalah developed, the perspective, the understanding changed until Hasidus concluded that yes, it's only in Or Ein Sof, in godliness and not in God, that the tzimtzum occurred, in his light and not in him. And as well as the fact that even in this light, it's not a literal tzimtzum, it's a not a pshitu tzimtzum, it's only to us, to the recipients. It's not a real tzimtzum, it's only to the recipients. Only conceptually, the way we perceive him or his light, there is a tzimtzum. So really, God himself is here, and therefore the Alter Rebbe teaches that Shem Shamayim Shagur B'fi Kol. Everybody, oh my God, what God? Why, when is the last time you thought about God? It's on the tongue of everyone, because God himself is here and is begilui, not tzimtzum at all. The tzimtzum is in his light, in his expression. Even that, Or Ein Sof is here, but to us it looks like it was taken away, or it's concealed, or it's not revealed. That switch of perception was created by God. This is what the tzimtzum is. That it's not revealed to us the way it is. Let's give a mashal to understand what does it mean. So the Rebbe gives a mashal of a Rav mashpia sechel letalmido, of a teacher that is mashpia, a concept, an idea to his student. The desire of the teacher is that his offshoots, which means his talmidim and talmidim, should be at least like himself. They should understand things at least like he does. He wants good fruits. What is a good fruit? What are good fruits for a teacher? That the students should understand it at least like him, and many times the students make him understand it better. I'm telling you from my own self. So what's the purpose of all this? So the Talmud should really get it. And get it the way the Rav knows it. The purpose of the Rav is that eventually the Talmud will get this concept and idea the way the teacher knows it. Right? That's the purpose of the teacher. However, he's a good teacher. So now he has to adjust and tailor the idea so that the Talmud should be able, and it could depend on the Talmud how old he is. Not only in the passport, in understanding, in knowledge, in development. Then he has to mashpia in such a way that the mekabel could contain le'achil et hashpah.
Right.
So what does the teacher do? הרי הוא מסלק את אור שכלו לגמרי. First he moves aside his entire knowledge, the way he knows it. What does it mean? He forgets it? No, he doesn't forget. He's not focused on that. It's there, but it's completely put aside in terms of his interaction with the Talmud. וממציא אור שכל שהוא לפי ערך המקבל. And now he is now issuing a level of the concept that is shayach to the intellect of the student, altogether in a general way. And now he says, okay, what level is my student? He's in 8th grade, he's in 2nd grade, he's in Mesivta, he's in Zal, he's in Koilel, Tiferes Kenim, Chochmos Nashim, depends where we are. Oh gosh, as they say in this country. In any case, I would like to dedicate this shiur, if you allow me, ladies. First of all, we always learn Le'ilui Nishmas our dear friend Orna Bas Chaim Alea Shalom, and she should keep giving her blessings for this year, and we are going to come back to Torah Or and do the Torah after Yud Shvat Be'ezras Hashem. But I also want to dedicate the shiur Leilu Nishmas, our dear precious friend Chayaedel Bas Simcha, that we are the Shiva is not over yet, and it's all raw and fresh, and she's still here. She's just still here. But I'm sure that if she would come to this class, to this shiur, because she would prepare for the Rebbe. She was such a mekusha to the Rebbe, a soul that went straight to the highest of highest. And a neshama that was a zchus to get to know. In any case, where are we? So now the Rav, the teacher, is Mamtzi or Sechel Shu Lefi Erech HaMakabel. First of all, he said, let me all together in a very general way adjust the Or HaSechel to the level of the student. And now I will do V'oseh Bazeh Kama Tzimtzumim. Now the teacher, next page Ches, is now will do in it all kinds of tzimtzumim, all kinds of adjustments, בכדי שיוכל להסקבל אצל המקבל. So it should be able to be perceived by the מקבל, by the student. אם כן, כל הצמצומים הם רק לגבי המקבל. So what does this tzimtzum mean? These tzimtzumim are not taking away anything from the knowledge of the teacher. All these tzimtzumim, all these filterings and all these adjusting of the knowledge and the light to the kelim, to the vessel, the intellectual and spiritual vessels of the Talmud, they are not tzimtzumim in the teacher's knowledge. They are tzimtzumim only in reference to the perceiver, to the recipient, to the student. אבל לעצמו אינו צמצום כלל. But to himself, he doesn't cover up and conceal his knowledge when he brings it down to the level of the Talmud and garbs it with all kinds of garments. אשר הדוגמה מזה יובן למעלה כביכול. So this example should help us to understand the inyan of tzimtzum above, in Or and Sof, so to speak. The klalus inyan ha-tzimtzum hu rak legabeinu. The general inyan of the tzimtzum is only from our perspective. It's only from our perspective. It's only from our experience, not from God's experience. Nothing changes in Or and Sof. Not God and not godliness. אבל לגביו יסברך הרי אין הצמצום מסתיר כלל. To him, nothing hides and nothing conceals. ובאמס יובן גם זה, וגם לגבינו. Okay. Now, that's number one. Number one, let's not get scared here. Nothing changed. God doesn't change. The world doesn't change him. He doesn't change. He's there. Or and Sof is here. Everything is here. Legabeinu, to us, in our perceptions, we have to work on it in order for us to perceive it the way the teacher knows the knowledge. The student has to begin somewhere in the beginning and then grow and grow and grow until he is a keli to contain the entire knowledge of the Rav. And that's the other aspect of the tzimtzum. We usually look at the tzimtzum in a hostile way, if I may say so. Because the tzimtzum is the root of all evil. The tzimtzum is the root of all misunderstandings. The tzimtzum is the root of all distortions. The tzimtzum is the root of all death, Rachmana litzlan. The tzimtzum is the root of all tragedies. So we are usually very hostile towards tzimtzum. It's choshev. It's dark. ובאמס, let's not get devastated by the Tzimtzum, says the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, not in my lashon, of course. The Frierdiker Rebbe says that the truth, uve'emes, yuvan gam ze. There's another very important thing to be understood as well. And that is the gam legabeinu, even to us, that the Tzimtzum we usually looked at as a very hostile way because it is what's responsible to all what we call negative experiences. הנה הצמצום הראשון בכל הצמצומים בסדר ההשתלשלות. The first tzimtzum and all the following tzimtzumim, and there are myriads and myriads and myriads of tzimtzumim, bekamus ube'echus, in quality and in quantity. I heard once that I don't know exactly how he expressed himself, the Ragachover, or the Rebbe got smicha, one of the Rebbe's smichas was from the Ragachover, and he said that he decided to devote his mind and his learning to Nigle, and he was a Gaon Shebegaonim. There is a book that came out about the Ragachover, worth reading in English. Maybe Sichos in English, or about the Ragachover. In any case, he said that one of the reasons that he made this decision not to engage in Hasidus to the extent that he is engaging in Nigle, he said that just to study the subject, the topic of the Tzimtzum will take him 2 years. And we're talking about the head of the Ragachover, we're talking about not spending much time other than learning every day. So it will take me 2 years just to study the topic of Tzimtzum, and I can't fit it into the schedule and lose all my, in any case, there are many Tzimtzumim. First of all, there are Tzimtzumim prior to what we call the first Tzimtzum Harishon. But let's leave it like that. Echad, Yachid, and Kadmon is all before the Tzimtzum Harishon. But let's leave it that this is the first Tzimtzum. In Or Ein Sof, many Tzimtzumim followed that Tzimtzum, Sai in Kamus and Sai in Echus. Sai in amount and Sai in quality of the light, of the filtering of the light. How much filtering in amount and how much filtering in quality. But all these, Kol HaTzimtzumim, says the Rebbe, don't forget that. The Seder Ishtalshelus, and as we go down, we get more discouraged because we live at the bottom of all these chains of myriads and myriads and myriads of concealments and compromise and blocks and screens and curtains and hoops and all kinds of צמצומים בערך, gradual צמצומים, שלא בערך צמצומים, צמצומים in a way of leap, disproportionate צמצומים, proportional צמצומים, it's a whole world. It's an ocean to understand the topic of tzimtzumim, which is one of the greatest secrets to find light in. In any case, we shouldn't forget, says the Frierdiker Rebbe, that all the tzimtzumim of Seder Ishtalshelus, that in order to create all these worlds that go lower and lower and lower, in which Elokus is more and more and more and more concealed, until we come to this world, in which you can even say that there is no creator, the one who brings it into existence moment to moment and animates us and gives us life. Keeps us alive. And yet, we can walk around, and some do, and say, no, there's no creator. So much the Tzimtzum is. But, don't forget, says the Rebbe, Harei hu b'shvil hagilui. Why is the Tzimtzum? For what? Let's remember the mashal of the teacher. He's how shall I say, bringing down his knowledge and diminishing it and covering it up with all kinds of garments and examples and stories for the sake of bringing it down to the Talmud but all for the sake of eventually the Talmud should get it, and not just get the external way that the teacher covered it up with more and more levushim. You should get the inner knowledge that is hidden within the transmission of knowledge of the teacher, which means the wish of the teacher, and the intention is that the student should get it the way the teacher knows it. And we should never forget that Tzimtzumim, no matter how they look and how far they make us feel from God, they are all for the sake of Gilui. There is no Tzimtzum for the sake of severing, detaching. There is a Tzimtzum for the sake of Gilui. Like a teacher that has to has to constrict a little bit the light of his intellect so he should fit the kalim of his students. And for the student it can be revealed. דליוס לעיקר עניין הצמצום הוא בכדי שיתקבל כנ"ל במשל. What's the main purpose of the tzimtzum? That eventually we will be able to contain our Ein Sof. That we should be able to contain the light of Hashem the way it is. But Hashem cannot initially give us this light the way it is, because it will blind us and we will lose our Metzius, overwhelm us. So he has to then said so to the Talmud. If the teacher will teach it the way, give it over to the Talmud the way he knows it, he will overwhelm the Talmud and will not get anything. It's like opening the fire hydrant and putting a little plastic kiddush cup, the small ones, and under the strong stream, and expecting it to be filled. In Cain, if this is the case, if we know that the inner intent of the tzimtzum, no matter what tzimtzum it is for the sake of revelation, of the sake of gilui, of making our Ein Sof, of making godliness accessible to us, and eventually integrated and revealed to us. But it's a process. But if we know that this is what it's all about, im ken harei ein hatzimtzum mastir. In this case, there is no separation between us and our teacher. Hatzimtzum really doesn't block. It just funnels the light of the teacher in a way that the student can receive it. ומכל מקום, הרי האור אין סוף אינו נרגש. Nevertheless, this is the experience in this reality. The experience in this reality that Or Ein Sof is not Ein Nirgash, is not sensed, is not felt. At least we should know that it's here, and we should know that the Tzimtzum is not Kipshuto, it's not literally, it's all here, and eventually we'll get it, and with Torah mitzvahs that are done all those generations, we are mamash there, we're mamash at the edge of the Geula Amitis Vashleima. But still, it's not nirgash. We feel that it's ototot, but it's not nirgash. We want to see the baby already. וגם מבחינת האור פנימי, שהוא האור באחיוס המחייס, כל הנמצאים. And so we have Or Ein Sof in a way of sovev, but it's not revealed. For instance, the Or that brings you into existence, your body. As we said this morning, we feel that our body is alive, but we don't feel the energy that creates our body. Not revealed to us at all. Sovev, super conscious. Is it working? For sure, it brings us into existence every second. It's here. But, אינו נרגש. Not sensed yet. וגם, מבחינת האור פנימי. This is regarding Or Makif, or Sovev. Even the Or Pnimi, which means not only that Or that brings us to existence, but the Or that animates us. Like we feel like the body, we feel the soul that animates the body. We feel that light. Or Pnimi. שהוא האור והחיוס המחייס כל הנמצאים. That's the light and the life force that animates all beings. הרי יש ברואים כאלו שאינם מרגישים שהוא חיוס אלוקי. There are such creatures, such creations, excuse me, but don't get offended like us, that do not feel that it is Chayos Eloki, that it is divine energy. Says the Rebbe, we feel that we are so far in higher worlds, they feel that their Chayos is Chayos Eloki. They feel that their life force is divine. We feel our life force, but we don't feel that it's divine. We feel we are alive, but we don't feel that this life force is divine, is Elokus, is godliness, is godly. והגם דכל אחד ואחד מרגיש שיש בו חיוס המחיה אותו, even though, says the Frierdiker Rebbe, each and every person senses and feels that he has a life in him that animates him, and we can tell the difference between a person who is alive and not alive. ויודע בבירור שהעיקר הוא החיוס, and we also can be aware and conscious of the fact that the main existence is this chayus, is not the flesh. והיינו דהגוף אינו דבר ועניין כלל, והעיקר הוא החיוס. Everyone can understand that the body is not a thing at all, and the main thing is this chayus that animates the body, whatever you want to call it, soul, or energy that animates it. Either it's there or it's not there. If it's not there, the body is nothing, a dead flesh, piece of flesh and bones. Yes, we feel that we are alive. ומכל מקום, however, הרי אינם מרגישים שהוא חיוס אלוקי. They do not feel, who is they? We. In עולם העשייה, תחתון שאין תחתון למטה ממנו, and clippers, and so on, they do not feel that this chayus that animates them, that keeps us alive, is chayus eloki, is divine chayus. ובפרט בריבוי האלמוס וההסתרים, שהאור מסעלם ומסתתר ממדרגה למדרגה, and especially that it can go so down, like in our physical world, because in the higher world it's so apparent that they can't deny God. But in our world, you can come to such a level, lower and lower, that the lower to the lowest, that you can say, שיכול לומר, לי, like Paro, that now we are learning about him. לי יאורי ואני עשיסיני, וכוחי ועוצם ידי חולו. I am the master, I am the God. I made myself, says Paro. I am the master of the Yeor. I am God. And it's my power that creates all. A person can say that, and we are making fun of power, but there's a little power chick within ourselves too, that something works well and we feel, ooh, I did a good job. בכל זה הוא מהלם והסתר האור ביותר. So let's not feel so guilty and crush ourselves down. This is really the reflection of the fact that in our reality, the light is so concealed and so covered up. עד שיכול להיות מוחו גס כזה, until one's mind can be so coarse and insensitive, שאינו יודע ומרגיש דהטבע הוא אלוקוס. That we not know and not sense that nature and our world and nature is really divine. We can be so insensitive. כל זה, how is it possible? We know that he's bringing us to existence every second. We know that not only that he brings us to existence and goes back to his office. He animates us. He brings us to existence every moment. And not only brings us to existence, he makes sure that this existence is animated. We are alive and we are operating, each one according to our personality and shticks and ups and downs and moods and everything. But you can say just nature. It's biology, chemistry, biology, geography, and so on, and astronomy. That's it. עד שאינו יודע ומרגיש דהטבע האלוקוס. How is it possible? וכל זהו בכוח האינסוף. This is a revelation of the power of the infinite. לעשות העלמות והסתרים כאלו. To create such concealments, such cover-ups, וכשם שהספשטוס באור עד המדרגות היותר אחרונוס ובכוח האינסוף דווקא, just as we learn that it is the power of the infinite to be extended and manifest and operate all the way to the lowest level, or אינסוף למטה מטה עד אין תכליס. That's the power of the infinite. הנה כמו כן, just as it is regarding the hispashtus of the or, the same applies is koach ha'en sof, the power of the infinite that ma'alim u'mastir, that conceals and covers up, the power of finitude, beribui elemos ve'esterim, is the power of Ein Sof to hide and conceal itself in myriads, manners, and ways, in quantity and quality and all kinds of ways. And it's unlimited, this power. The Zeu Ksiv, this is what it says in Shayahu, Achen ata kel mistater. You are kel mistater, you are hiding Kel. Kel means God, but Kel is especially the name, each name of Hashem is associated with one of the spheros, 10 spheros. The name Kel is associated with Chesed. So the union of Chesed and Gilui. But how do you megala yourself? Ata, you are Kel mistater. You reveal yourself through concealments. Like the teacher that has to conceal his knowledge, his light, in order for the child to perceive and to be able to perceive and not to be overwhelmed. The Keshem, where are we? I would like to finish, almost done. The Ze shemistater beribui helemos ve'esterim ubchinas ata mamash. It's you yourself, you are Ein Sof. It's you who also knows how to hide yourself and conceal yourself infinitely. There's nothing that you can, no way that you cannot conceal yourself. וכשם שחסד כל כל היום, ויום הוא בחינת גילוי, that just as the pasuk says, chesed kel kol hayom, the chesed of kel is all day, is all yom, his inyan of gilui. Chesed kel means gilui, divine revelation. Yom is gilui, and choshech, laila, is no gilui. וכמו שהגילוי הוא חסד בשם kel. So just as you can be chesed, shem kel, you chesed, and the chesed of kel is kol hayom. We're experiencing the chasadim of God all day long. We just have to open our eyes. But at the same time, in ekmochen, ma shemistater u'mis'alem u'bchinas ata mamash. It's the same ata, the same you, that is concealing yourself and covering yourself and compromising your manifestation, your revelation, in order for us to be able to relate to you. Dezeu ma shamar besefer Yetzira. And this is what he says in Sefer Yetzira, believed to be written by Adam, by Avraham Avinu. Some say Adam Arishon, some Rabbi Akiva Eded. Avraham Avinu, most opinions. That these two powers of Or and Sof, Lemata Mata Ad and Tachlis, to be revealed without any end, and to be concealed without any end, is called in Sefer Yetzira Omek Rum ve'Omek Tachat, the depth of the heights and the depth of the below. The Keshem She'omek, which means an infinite power to reveal and an infinite power to conceal. וכשם שעומק תחת הוא הגילוי וההספסטוס עד מדרגות היותר אחרונוס, ובחינת כוח האינסוף, this just is the depth of the below. That means the gilui, the revelation and the extending of Or Ein Sof all the way to the lowest levels is the expression of the infinite power of Or Ein Sof. Hine kmochen. So too is Omek Rum, the depth of the height, between למעלה, מעלה עד אין קץ, בעילוי אחר עילוי, in elevation after elevation, withdrawal after withdrawal, in terms of what is revealed. Mean concealment after concealment. ובכוח האין סוף דווקא, is with the same אין סוף, that has the power to reveal itself unendingly, has the power to conceal itself unendingly. דרק בכוח האין סוף להעלים ולהסתיר בריבוי מיני אלמות והסתרים. It is only, and this is maybe the punchline, and then I will ask you the question that I mentioned before. It is only with the power of Ein Sof להעלים ולהסתיר, to conceal and hide himself בריבוי מיני אלמות והסתרים, in such myriad, infinite myriad types and in quality and quantity of hiding and garments and concealments and filterings and blocks and curtains and whatever you want to call it. וזהו אור אין סוף למעלה עד אין קץ. The ability to do so, to conceal himself like this is what is called by the Zohar, אור אין סוף למעלה עד אין קץ. אור אין סוף upwards infinitely. So my question to you, what is your opinion? Why dafka this aspect of Or Ein Sof, not the lemata mata ad en tachlis, rather lemala lemala ad en kates? Why dafka this aspect of Or Ein Sof is called the otzar, the treasure? This is the main treasure that the king is splurging and make it now available to us. Each and every one of us, the foot soldiers. In a way, if Hashem just reveals his power of extension, of manifestation, the Or Ein Sof bli gvul, the power of infinity. So that's like Hashem just being himself. Doesn't have to put much effort, so to speak. Much effort. You know, look if Hashem, if we are taking a mashal of a human being, if the teacher just communicates the knowledge the way he knows it. So it doesn't require much effort. And it's also not an expression of an intimate relationship between him, necessarily between him and the Talmud. If he will give the knowledge to the Talmud, the way it is known by him, not the way the Talmud taking into consideration the level that the Talmud is holding by. So it, so to speak, it looks like the doing tzimtzumim requires. I'm not saying that this is. I'm just trying to give words to what you said, Chaya, and it's also one thought that I had. Same thought, that it requires, so to speak, more presence. If you're talking in a human sense, in lahavdil, it requires more effort, and it's a better teacher who really contemplates how to bring the knowledge down to the kinderlach, and how to give demonstrations and analogies and stories and acting out and all kinds of ways to bring it out. Be creative about it. And so it should fit each and every, not only the class, but each and every student in each and every class. You know, according to his personality and to his talents and to his intelligence and this, rather than, okay, then the teacher comes and opens the Gemara and learns who got it, who didn't get it. He teaches it the way he knows it, and Shalom Aleichem, going home. That's not a great teacher. And he doesn't put much effort. Okay, so it's not an expression of an intimate connection between the teacher and his students, if this is the way he teaches. You know, it's just going, it is no connection, it's no personal connection. Here, the fact that Hashem can do so many tzimtzumim, so we can feel what the Rebbe calls Yeshus and Metzius, that we should be fully ourselves, and including the challenges that we go through, as the Shechina goes through, as Fegi bringing up as well, you know. So, that is an indication of Hashem's presence, Hashem's intent, as you called it, Chaya, intention, or it's much more intentful, and it's much more intimate, and there's much more investment, so to speak, of Elokus in this process of concealments that are all done so each one of us would come about in our full light and have free choice. But this is one perspective. Any other ideas? Okay, so first of all, usually the approach is that when it comes to Hashem himself, we don't talk about it, because what words can you use? Even that is usually Atzmus, relates to Atzmus Ha'or. Now what does it mean, Or? Or means Hashem's expression, Hashem's manifestation. Hashem doesn't have to be revealed. He doesn't have to be even potentially in relation to anything. So you say Dibur, Dvar. This is way before the Dibur that we're usually talking about. Dvar Hashem is Malchus or Batzilus. We're talking way before. But even if you talk about Malchus, there's Malchus in every world. There's Malchus even before the Tzimtzum. That's Or. Or Ein Sof is Malchus of Ein Sof. What is Malchus? Oisios. What is Oisios? Revelation. The power to reveal himself. The power to relate. To be perceived. That's Or Ein Sof. Yeah, but that's already the last stage. Before that, he needs to make himself perceivable. That's Or Ein Sof. And that's the Gilui. That's what was revealed. Godliness was revealed, which means that God's presence, God's revelation. There's no separation between Or Ein Sof, and especially according to Basi Legani, that we learned that Or Ein Sof is so subtle that he carries even tchunos of Atzmus, of what you call Atzmus U'Ma'us, of God himself. And that's why Or Ein Sof can create, Yesh Me'ayin. Because Or Ein Sof is only Or. It's not Atzmus. Only Atzmus can create. Or has no Metzius of itself. But the Rebbe taught in Basi Legani that Or is so bitul, Or Ein Sof is so bitul, that it carries, even it itself cannot create, but it carries the quality, the tchuna of Atzmus to be able to create Yesh Mi'ayin. Or Ein Sof itself, you wouldn't be able to create Yesh Mi'ayin, because only something that has no beginning can create Yesh Mi'ayin. And Or has a beginning. This is not the topic of this oath right now. We are deviating, but okay, doesn't matter. Of course they're connected. Of course Hashem reveals himself through the Or. There's no separation, but you still have to distinguish that Or Ein Sof is not godliness itself. It's not God himself. It's godliness. That's the aspect of God that we are interacting with, and through that we reach God himself. The aspect of למעלה מעלה עד אין קץ is the אוצר more than למטה מטה עד אין תכלס. That Or Ein Sof, says the Zohar, which means the divine expression is made out of two forces, למטה מטה עד אין תכלס, ולמעלה מעלה עד אין קץ. And now the Rebbe said, and first he said that Or Ein Sof is the treasure. But now he's zooming in more and says, well, specifically the aspect of למעלה מעלה עד אין קץ, the ability to conceal himself, not to reveal himself infinitely, but to conceal himself infinitely, that is the treasure. And so we asked why Dafka that is the treasure. The more the teacher is engaging in tzimtzumim in order to really make the material chewable, how do you say, and digestible for the Talmud, in order to do that, he has to really invest his atzmos, himself, more and more, rather than leisurely teach the subject the way he knows it. For that, he doesn't have to invest his atzmos. He can talk from his chitzonius. You're right. And knowing it, I think it's very comforting. Next week, in Mirz Hashem, we are beginning the biur of the Rebbe. The Rebbe quickly will bring us into the context from Aleph to Tesvav, and then gets into a discussion of really explaining what is Orel Sof Lemala, Mala, and Ketz.